Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here, and welcome to my Fulham versus Manchester United preview. Before we begin, I need to read a statement from George Mendes, Jose Mourinho's agent. Now, I'm sure you've read this and heard about this, but just in case you haven't, we need to discuss this. Right. There have been more rumours of Jose Mourinho leaving Manchester United. Well, we can only hope. It's totally untrue. Damn it. Jose is very happy at the club, and the club is very happy with him. Not. He has a long-term contract with Manchester United. Contracts mean nothing, son, as you know, and is fully committed to the club in building a solid winning project. Nearly 3 seasons and counting. What was the point of this statement? Now, this rumour came out about a week ago, so it's taken him a week. The rumour was that he was going to Madrid again. So what's going on? Well, they're daring the club for a response, because he might be saying via Mourinho that, yes, he's happy, the club are happy, but why isn't the club coming out and responding to this, saying, yes, we concur that everything's fine? Because the club isn't happy with him, and the club behind his back are trying to negotiate with a manager and a director of football. Probably the way things work is the manager will probably have a say in who the director of football is. What you don't want to do is a situation where you get a director of football and then the new manager kind of doesn't get on with him. They need a relationship, so they're pulling together rather than apart. So I hope they don't mess that up. But yeah, it's not a question of if Jose Mourinho will get the sack. It's when. A defeat against bottom Fulham today would be very interesting. And I've checked their few results. Not everything's been great, but I mean, when they played the big teams, they failed. They lost to Bournemouth as well. But there's a couple of results in there since Ranieri came in, which are kind of impressive. Listen, if we needed a handball to beat Young Boys, one of the worst teams in Europe, right? No disrespect to them. They can't help that, by the way. But at the end of the day, Fulham are much better than Young Boys. They've got a great chance of beating us today because we're just not good enough. So what pearls of wisdom has Jose Mourinho thrown at us since the Arsenal game? He said that Fred will not have a consistent amount of games until he's sorted out the defence. AKA, right? AKA, unless you get me an old age pensioner in defence, your man won't be playing. It is looking, I didn't think this was true, but it is looking increasingly like the club forced him to buy Fred. But let's look at Fred. Box to box, dynamic, exciting. A bit too exciting for Jose Mourinho. Meanwhile, Mourinho wanted to buy a bunch of old age pensioners in the summer. Who'd you back then? Well, I backed the club. The club's stance is they want players at a good age to accept the challenge. They want young players, they want players in their 20s, 25. 26, 27 is fine. But when you get started getting 29, 30 and above, there's no sell-on value, there's no future in them, there's no point. Fergie never used to buy players that were old unless, obviously he bought Van Persie, but that was just in his final season to cement his legacy. So I do back the club. I just wonder, once they realised that there was an impasse, they should have just got rid of him. But not unless the people they're trying to bring in are not available, are not easy to bring in. There's complications and they can't just bundle him out and have nothing to replace him. That's the only thing I can think of. It's clear to me that Mourinho wants out now. When you see other YouTubers talking, when you look at other pundits, he wants the 25 million. It's pretty obvious, and he will say and do anything to get that. I think we will lose against Fulham today. I don't see how we can win this game. We're 8th. We've got better players, you would think, you would assume. But when you've got a man who constantly changes the team and doesn't play the best players consistently, you're not going to get anywhere. He hasn't the trust of the players. He's falling out with players left, right and centre. And who knows what his relationship with Ed Woodward is. I would hazard a guess. It's not very good. So although Fulham are struggling, they've got a really good manager in and his message is started to be heard. unlike our manager after, well, in year 3. Listen, being a Manchester United fan is really depressing. I know, boo-hoo, people who are not United fans. I know that your clubs are probably in a lot of trouble, struggling. We're Manchester United. We won all those trophies. We're one of the richest clubs and most adored clubs in the world. We're also one of the most hated clubs in the world because once you're successful, you're hated. We're not successful anymore. People are starting to feel sorry for us. I get opposition fans, Liverpool fans feeling sorry for us. Feeling sorry for us because they're better than us, because they've got a better manager, because they're doing well. You know, when you're doing well in life, you can afford to pity others. It's the way it goes, isn't it? Basically, as I say, even when we score and we do well, I mean, I've kind of underlined a statement that I put out on Twitter this morning on Movies TV Mad, if you want to follow me. A good result for Mourinho is a bad result for Manchester United, and I'll stick by that. But when I look at the way we play, the inconsistency in the selection, in the performances, for example, if he was to start the team he started with against Arsenal midweek, we may have a chance. We've got a few injuries. Apparently, Martial didn't travel with the squad to London, so it looks like he's injured. Injured, or has he been dropped? You never know with Mourinho now. You just don't know what's going on. So for me, the sooner this happens and we get rid of this man, the better. A loss against Fulham would certainly cement him. I mean, because I think the problem is here, if this board play to time, they won't sack him until they're out of the Champions League, because that's another avenue for qualifying for the competition next season. But these are dangerous games to play. That they have to take some action. My worry is that they're not planning on doing so. Forget what Mendes says. What Mendes said means nothing. Yeah, he's officially committed to the club, but he's not. He wants out. He didn't realise what he was taking on, or he just came on for the ride or the big check. I don't know. Maybe he never came in to do a job. What do you think, everyone? Are you confident about today? Do you think we can win? I'm not confident about anything, and to be particularly honest with you, I know this won't go down well. The sooner this guy can leave, the better. So if we lost today, I wouldn't be crying about it, because the season is dead already.